And thirdly, there's probably more of an overall need, an overarching need in two areas. One is actually, as I mentioned earlier, to increase the awareness amongst entrepreneurs and business owners of the opportunities for raising growth investment. And the second is to probably improve the connection between those business owners and the various funding organisations. And if we can just stay with that for a moment longer, just go back to the lack of awareness amongst businesses. It's not just a lack of awareness, there's also some pretty fundamental misperceptions amongst business owners in the East Midlands. And I'd just like to, well, I've got some of you in a room here together, just run over some of those and see if we can't kick those into touch. Number one, and this actually happened to me a couple of weeks ago. We were at an event. A gentleman came up to me and said, so who are you? What do you do? I explained that to him. And he said, yeah, no, we don't need you. We're making a profit. Now, I'm afraid to that our survey said, The reason being is when you're making a profit, that's the ideal time to be considering your growth. Raising finance shouldn't be a reactive activity. It shouldn't be something that you're doing to stem the, to sort out the disaster you're facing. You should be raising finance when you're in control of the situation. It improves your negotiating position with the investors, and it also means that you've got a business plan and a business model that is working. Investors like that, typically. The best thing to do, really, is not to say, right, I'm desperate for the money now. It's to look in the future, in 24, 36 months' time, say, what is the ideal scenario? Where would I like my business to be? And then work backwards from that and say, what's standing in the way of getting me to that ideal scenario? What are the costs associated with that? And then go out and raise the money, That's what growth investment is about. It's actually getting money to help you grow. So first of all, if you're making a profit, it doesn't rule you out. Secondly, and we hear this quite a bit as well, investors will compromise my creativity. And that might be creativity within R&D, creativity within the biotech, pharmaceutical environment. It might be creativity within design and textile companies. The reality is, again, no. And the reason is that investors are backing your creativity. They're investing in you because you're creative. You've got the one thing that they haven't got, and that's your creativity. So to jeopardize their investment by basically telling you what to do and how to create would be a pretty foolish and churlish standpoint from their point of view. They'll bring more structure and they'll bring more organization and direction, but they really, unless they're very bad investors, won't be trying to compromise your creativity. So again, let's keep that into touch. Third one, Dragon's Den and The Apprentice is real life. I'm afraid, again, Dragon's Den and The Apprentice are about real life as Doctor Who, really. You're not going to sit in front of an investor. He's not going to have £50,000 in cash on the table in front of you. He's not going to rubbish and shout at you, and he's not going to expect a decision within 2 minutes, first thing to know. If you're lucky enough to then get an investor, the other thing he isn't going to do is sit across a mahogany board table from you and shout, you're rubbish, you're fired every morning, because, again, that's not particularly constructive. So please don't be misled by these people. Be aware that there are opportunities, but they don't work like that. And finally, the investors will want to give up a chunk of my business. Now, I'm afraid in this instance, there's a pretty good chance they will. But I don't want you to see that as a negative. I want to see it as a positive. These guys are only getting involved because they want to make money out of the idea and the business that you've got. They're not going to do it to the extent so that you're demotivated and you don't want to play anymore. They're going to be there to support you, to help you grow your business. Now, so if you're in business to actually be successful, make more money, and grow your business, then they're not going to hamper that. They're going to help that. So there's some misperceptions which I just wanted to correct when I had you all in one room. And so hopefully that are the misperceptions kicked out of your head. And back to reality. And the reality is that actually capital injection will seriously enhance your chances for growth. Your management team, if anything, will be strengthened, not compromised by the inclusion of an investor. And bootstrapping is great. Now, but the art of bootstrapping, for those who haven't come across the term, is basically launching your business on a budget. It's a chap called Guy Kawasaki, an American serial entrepreneur and investor, who's written quite a bit on it. And it's a great discipline, especially in your first business. It teaches you to make your mistakes cheaply. And it's a really, really good exercise. Basically, you do everything you can and pay next to nothing for it. But the reality is, in the long run, that serial entrepreneurs raise finance, and that's fact. And so they do that because once they've found something that works, and they've found something that they think they can grow and make successful, the next stage they make is to actually go and get investment. So I ask you all to seriously consider it for your business as a viable opportunity for growth.